Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks. My name is Lucas. And if I had started recording earlier, maybe I wouldn't be standing on my porch yelling at a 62-year-old woman holding a can of pepper spray in her hand, and my terrified cat limping under my car. You sick, twisted lunatic. That's a living animal. You've been warned, Lucas, she snapped, shaking the can at me like it was some magic wand that made her the queen of the neighborhood. Your filthy animal's been scratching my flowers and peeing on my porch rug. I told you what would happen. My blood was boiling. I wasn't thinking straight. I had sprinted out of my house barefoot the second I heard Tiger scream. A scream. Not a meow. Not a hiss. A scream. The sound a cat makes when it's in pain. And there she was, Karen. HOA president. Retired realtor. Self-appointed street sheriff. Wearing that ridiculous wide-brimmed hat like she was protecting the neighborhood from evil with sunscreen and spite. You just assaulted my pet. I shouted, stepping between her and Tiger, who was now hunched over, licking his shoulder, twitching in distress. Oh please, she sneered. It's not like I hit you. Maybe next time I will. That's when I lost it. My fists clenched so hard I thought I'd crush my own bones. Say that again, I growled, my voice cracking. You lay a finger on me, and I promise you. What? You'll call the cops? She laughed, motioning to the ring of garden gnomes on her lawn like they were witnesses on her side. Go ahead. I am the law around here. You think the HOA's gonna back you up over me? Good luck. I wanted to lunge. I won't lie. Every inch of me wanted to grab that can from her and throw it across the street. But I didn't. Because right then, Tiger let out another soft, wheezing mewl. That broke me faster than her taunts ever could. You don't get to touch him. Ever again, I said quietly, turning back toward my house, scooping Tiger into my arms, careful not to touch the reddened spot on his neck. Oh, and Lucas, she called after me, her voice suddenly sugar-sweet and venom-dripping. If I see that animal outside again, I won't miss his face next time. I stopped dead in my tracks. My spine straightened like a steel rod. I turned slowly, looked her dead in the eye, and said 6 words that would change everything. Thanks for the warning. I'm recording now. She blinked. Just once. And for a split second, her smug mask cracked. I didn't wait for a reply. I walked back inside, locked the door, set Tiger down gently, and pulled up Amazon. Outdoor security cameras. Night vision. Motion detection. Cloud backup. Next day delivery. Because this woman, this monster, wasn't done. But neither was I. And if she wanted war? She was about to find out what it felt like to lose one. That was just the beginning. What happened next, at 3 a.m.? 2 nights later, would flip this entire neighborhood upside down. Cameras don't lie. And when I showed that footage at the board meeting, let's just say Karen didn't walk out with the same smug look she walked in with. If you've ever been pushed to your limit by someone who thinks they're untouchable, keep watching. This isn't just about a cat. It's about standing up to abuse, no matter how powerful the bully thinks they are. Because sometimes, the quietest ones? They roar the loudest, when you finally force their hand. The cameras arrived the next morning. I didn't wait. I spent the entire day mounting them, one on the porch, one hidden in the tree above the mailbox, and one inside the flower bed, pointed right at the sidewalk where Karen liked to do her little inspection walks. By nightfall, they were live. Tiger stayed inside, curled next to his food bowl, still flinching every time the wind rattled the blinds. He didn't even want to sit by the window. That cat, who used to patrol the neighborhood like it was his kingdom, was now afraid to even look outside. That alone made me want revenge. But not the petty kind. Not yelling. Not fighting. I wanted the kind of revenge that made everyone see the truth. That left no room for doubt. And Karen? She was about to expose herself. All I had to do was wait. And she didn't disappoint. 3:12 a.m., Tuesday. I got the notification on my phone. Motion detected, driveway cam 2. I was half asleep, but the second I saw her face on the screen, I shot straight up in bed. Karen. Hood up. Sneakers on. No hat. No robe. Just her, and something shiny in her hand. She crept across my lawn like a raccoon on a mission. Stopped by my flower bed. Took out a small bottle. Uncapped it. Started pouring something. I squinted. Zoomed in. Bleach. She was pouring bleach into my soil. My vegetable patch. I had been growing tomatoes, rosemary, even some lettuce. Stuff I took pride in. She was poisoning it, like it was nothing. Then she moved to the porch. Reached into her pocket. Pulled out the same can she sprayed Tiger with, and sprayed a thick coat right across my front steps. Then, without a word, she looked up at the camera. Dead on. Like she knew. And then she smiled. I froze. Not because I was scared, but because I realized something right then. She wanted me to see. She was daring me. This wasn't just about a cat. It wasn't even about rules. Karen needed to control something. Anything. And in her perfect world of picket fences and HOA letters, I was the nail sticking up. And she was the hammer. But hammers can break. And I had just caught her swinging. The next morning, I didn't say a word. I watered the dead patch of soil like I hadn't seen anything. I scrubbed the porch with gloves. I even waved at Karen as she did her daily walk with her iced coffee and clipboard, pretending she hadn't been on my property at 3 in the morning like a twisted little goblin. But I was planning something. The monthly HOA board meeting was coming up, Thursday evening. And as a resident, I had a right to speak. So I gathered every clip. Every timestamp. Every screenshot. Labeled and dated. I didn't just want revenge. I wanted justice. But I wasn't ready for what else I'd find. Because in the process of going through the camera footage, I noticed something else. Something I hadn't expected. Karen wasn't just messing with me. She had a pattern. 2 houses down, mail stolen out of a neighbor's box. Across the street, tire pressure let out of a single mother's car. Even the Jenkins family, their fence gate kept getting jammed shut every Thursday. It was her. Every time. Same clothes. Same time window. Same smug little strut when she was done. And nobody knew. Nobody had proof. Until now. And when I tell you that board meeting turned into a courtroom, you better believe justice had a front row seat. The HOA board meetings were usually dull. Folding chairs, cold coffee, stale cookies, and Karen running the room like a third-grade teacher with control issues. Everyone showed up more out of fear than interest, afraid that if they didn't, they'd be the next one fined for their garbage cans being out 4-7 minutes too long. But that Thursday? Every chair was full. Word had started to spread that I had something to say. Something big. I hadn't even opened my mouth yet, and the room was already buzzing. People kept whispering, looking at me, then looking at Karen, who sat at the head of the long folding table in her pressed khakis and HOA polo like she was preparing for battle. She still smiled, though. She still acted in control. But her hand? I noticed it. Tapping against the table. Thumb to ring finger. Over and over again. She knew. And I made sure she kept guessing. I'll open the floor now for any community concerns, she said with her usual fake warmth. Please keep comments brief and respectful. Lucas? I stood. Thanks, Karen, I said, meeting her eyes. Then I turned to the room. And I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I played the video. I had connected my laptop to the projector screen. One click, and boom. Clip 1, Karen walking across my lawn at 3:12 a.m. Clip 2, pouring bleach on my garden. Clip 3, spraying my porch with that same chemical, right after she'd already sprayed my cat. Clip 4, her looking straight at the camera, smiling, before walking off like it was just another Tuesday. The silence in the room? You could have heard a pin drop. Someone in the back gasped. A woman whispered, "Oh my God, that's my fence," and I knew she'd seen something familiar in one of the background shots. Then came the real moment, Tiger's scream. I hadn't wanted to play it at first, but I needed them to hear it. Just once. The sound of a harmless pet being attacked by a grown woman with authority and zero conscience. That scream echoed across the room. A few people flinched. One man covered his mouth. Karen stood up. "That footage is illegal," she said sharply, voice cracking just slightly. "You can't just, this is taken out of context." "Oh, I've got plenty of context," I said, clicking again. Clip 5, her letting air out of a neighbor's tire. Clip 6, taking letters out of someone's mailbox. Clip 7, jamming the Jenkins fence gate. I turned to the board. This is who's been running our community. Someone who weaponizes the rules to abuse the people she's supposed to protect. Karen's face turned red, but not with embarrassment. With rage. "This is a smear campaign," she snapped. "He's always had a problem with me. He let his mangy cat roam around like." "That mangy cat has lived here longer than you," I said flatly. "And even if he hadn't, what kind of person does this to an animal? To plants? To people?" Someone from the crowd, Mr. Delgado, from down the street, stood up slowly. "Karen. You said kids were the one stealing our mail." She didn't reply. Another voice, Ms. Clark, with the broken fence gate, "You charged me a $150 violation fee and told me I needed to secure my perimeter. You did that?" Karen was unraveling. She started stammering, fumbling with her clipboard. This is a misunderstanding. These videos could be edited. I've already submitted the footage to local law enforcement," I said calmly. "Timestamped, backed up, and legally obtained on my private property. So unless you'd like to explain your midnight strolls to the sheriff, I'd suggest you stop talking." That shut her up. The board chair, a quiet man named Martin who rarely spoke above a whisper, finally cleared his throat. "I think," he said slowly, "it would be in the HOA's best interest for Mrs. Hargrove to step down immediately, effective tonight." You could feel the room exhale. Karen didn't argue. She didn't yell. She didn't even pack her clipboard. She just sat there, stunned. Face pale. Eyes glassy. Like it had all just hit her, that the little kingdom she'd built on fear and control was gone. She stood up and left without a word. People clapped. Not loud. Not wild. But enough. Enough to feel like justice had finally shown up. That night, I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I sat on the floor with Tiger and fed him bits of tuna from my hand. He purred for the first time in days. Because justice isn't always loud. It's not always a punch or a scream or a wind shoved in someone's face. Sometimes, justice is a quiet camera. A still moment. And a neighborhood finally waking up. You'd think after that board meeting, everything would just go back to normal. People were finally talking again, really talking. They waved at each other, started organizing a real neighborhood watch, and the Jenkins even let their kids play outside again. It was like the air felt lighter, like we'd kicked out a toxin none of us had fully realized we were breathing. But me? I couldn't stop thinking about the footage. Because there was one clip I didn't show. One clip I almost missed. See, when I'd gone through the camera files that first night, I was looking for what Karen did to Tiger. I was angry, laser-focused, skipping anything that didn't seem immediately useful. But the next day, After the board meeting, after Karen slithered away, I started organizing everything. Sorting it into folders. That's when I found a motion-detected clip marked 3:04 a.m., one day before the bleach incident. I clicked it. And what I saw chilled me to the core. It wasn't Karen walking across my lawn. It was Karen, sneaking behind the Connors house, my elderly neighbors, holding something small and metallic. I couldn't quite see what it was at first. The angle wasn't great. But when she got closer to their garage door, I recognized it. A lockpick set. I swear, I stopped breathing for a second. The date stamp, the time, it all matched the morning Mr. Connors had called the police, saying someone had broken into his garage and stolen his late wife's gardening tools. They'd been her pride and joy, gold-plated handles, custom-carved initials, sentimental more than valuable. And he was devastated. We'd all thought it was some random punk. But here she was. Karen. Picking a 74-year-old man's lock like it was some kind of game. She slipped in. Was inside for maybe 3 minutes. Then she came out, holding a small green toolbox, the same one Mr. Connors had described. She walked away slowly, carefully, like she was strolling through a grocery store. Like it was nothing. I sat there in front of my screen, jaw clenched, hands shaking. Because suddenly, this wasn't about HOA fines or bleach or cats anymore. This was criminal. And worse, heartless. I didn't even want to imagine how many other people she'd hurt. How many missing items over the years had been written off as coincidence, or blamed on teenagers, or just swept under the rug. So I did what had to be done. I called Mr. Connors first. Told him what I'd found. I'll never forget the way his voice broke when I asked if I could come over and show him the video in person. He didn't say much, just said come quick, and when I got there, he was already waiting on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, hands trembling. He watched the video. Didn't blink. Didn't speak. Just stared. When it ended, he turned to me and said, she didn't even need the tools. She just knew I loved them. That sentence hit me like a truck. It wasn't about the items. It was about control. About pain. She had made a game of it. Later that day, I walked him down to the station and helped him file an official police report. They opened an investigation. Fast. And I made sure to turn over every second of the footage. It didn't take long for more people to come forward. Ms. Clark had a necklace go missing 2 months ago. The Delgados remembered losing a set of antique silver spoons Karen had complimented during a Christmas party. A pattern started forming. And as it did, Karen's world started collapsing. Because that's what happens when the truth finally gets loud. She was arrested 2 weeks later. I wasn't there, but I heard she screamed all the way into the back of the cruiser. Blamed me. Blamed everyone. Even said the cat had it out for her. You can't make this stuff up. The last I heard, the HOA was pressing charges. Multiple neighbors are part of a class action suit. The Connors got their toolbox back. She had pawned it, for $20. $20, for a man's memories. Some people just have no soul. After all this, people ask me if I'm happy. If I feel vindicated. If I feel safe. Truth? No. Not exactly. I'm not happy she got caught. I'm heartbroken she ever had that power in the first place. But I am proud that I trusted my instincts. That I didn't stay quiet. That I protected my pet, and my neighbors, and maybe gave people the courage to speak up when something doesn't feel right. And now? Tiger sleeps on the windowsill again. The flowers are growing back. The neighborhood feels like a neighborhood again. Sometimes, justice isn't loud. Sometimes, it's a camera. A cat. And one person saying, enough. I thought it was over. Thought we'd finally put it behind us. Karen had been gone for months. Her house went up for sale, the HOA replaced every single board member tied to her petty schemes, and peace, real, quiet peace, returned to our little corner of the world. But then, on a rainy Thursday morning in early fall, I saw something I hadn't expected. Her car. That same silver SUV with the dent in the side and the expired veteran plates she never renewed. Parked right across the street, engine running. She didn't get out. Just sat there, windows fogging up, fingers tight around the steering wheel. I stood by my window for a long time, unsure what to do. Part of me wanted to go out and yell. Another part wondered if she was here to apologize, or just stir up more chaos. But I didn't have to wait long. About 20 minutes later, she stepped out. No umbrella. Soaked to the bone. Her hair was flat. Her makeup, if any, was long gone. This wasn't the same woman who used to strut around in pearls and pressed slacks like she owned the whole block. No, this version looked small. Worn down. She crossed the street, not to my house, but to Mr. Connor's. Stood in front of his porch and just waited. Didn't knock. Didn't call out. Just stood there, shivering in the rain like a statue made of shame. He opened the door slowly. Still wearing his slippers. Held onto the screen like he was bracing himself for a storm. She opened her mouth. But nothing came out. Then she started crying. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just soft. Like everything had finally caught up to her. He didn't say a word. Just looked at her. Then gently, he shut the door. Not with anger. But with finality. She turned and walked back to her car, slower than before. Not defeated, just empty. She sat there for a while longer before finally driving off. That was the last time I saw her. She never came back. Sometimes, I wonder what broke inside her. Was it always there, or did something twist her along the way? Was she just a bad person, or was she someone who let bitterness rot her from the inside out? I don't know. And maybe I never will. But I do know this, evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes, it wears cardigans. Waters its roses. Smiles at your kids. And sometimes, justice doesn't come with sirens or applause. Sometimes, it comes when one person refuses to stay quiet. Sometimes, it comes through a camera and a cat. And now, every time I look out my window at that quiet lawn, I ask myself one question. What if I hadn't pressed play? What if I hadn't installed that camera? What if I'd just told myself, it's probably nothing, and looked away like everyone else did? Would she still be hurting people? Would we still be living under her rules, afraid to speak, waiting for someone else to stand up? I don't have all the answers. But maybe you do. So let me ask you this. When the moment comes, when someone crosses the line, and no one else says a word, will you be the one who presses play?